You don't doubt people without a reason. When you feel anxious before or after a talk, when you can't be yourself around someone, when you feel off around someone, that's not paranoia. That is your intuition trying to protect you. And the problem is that when we are around unpredictable, dominant, or emotionally unstable people, our nervous system becomes a little bit confused. We second guess ourselves. We give the benefit of the doubt again. And we stay in dynamics that drain us long after our soul said no. And today I want to help you see clearly again. This video is not about diagnosing narcissists, it's about recognizing when you are not safe in a dynamic and which Bach Flower Remedies support you in breaking those patterns. Hi, I'm Michelle, your Bach Flower specialist and emotional guide and creator of the online course Bloom into Balance, where you learn to protect yourself and your family using Bach Flower Remedies. And today we are going to walk through something very important. Why narcissistic dynamics feel confusing, how to recognize unsafe or narcissistic dynamics immediately, and which Bach Flower Remedies help you return to your truth, your boundaries, and your inner strength, and what you're allowed to do for yourself. If you've ever felt unsure about someone, if the situation feels a little bit muddy or complicated, this is for you. When you're unsure about someone, it's usually because something inside you is already signaling danger. But instead of trusting that, you start negotiating with yourself. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe they didn't mean it like that. Or maybe I'm too sensitive. And this is what happens when you've learned, very probably since childhood, to adapt to others and to manage their emotions, to read the room before you read yourself. And Bach Flowers help us return to our own inner truth. But before we go into the remedies, I want to give you something that will bring immediate clarity. So I call this the 20-second "Is this person safe?" checklist. The only thing you have to do without overthinking is answer true or false to the next 10 statements. Like I say, no overthinking, and you can pause the video if needed. Number 1, something in me goes on alert as soon as I see them. Number 2, I filter my words, my feelings, and even my personality when I am around them. Number 3, their mood feels like my responsibility. Number 4, I leave interactions feeling drained, heavy, or uneasy. Number 5, I plan conversations very carefully so I don't trigger them. Number 6, I justify myself just to avoid being misunderstood or attacked. Number 7, I'm left with guilt, anxiety, or self-doubt after interactions. Number 8, I feel uncomfortable when I get their text, calls, or invitations. Number 9, I can't fully be myself without consequences. And number 10, I feel better when I'm away from them. If 3 or more are true, this person is not safe for you right now. Now, that doesn't mean automatically they are narcissistic. It means that the dynamic between you both is harmful to you. So here are some of the key Bach flowers that help you reclaim yourself. Number 1, of course, walnut. This is really the boundary remedy. Walnut is the essence of separation, protection, and truth. It's for those moments when you feel someone's energy is just pulling you off your path, when their emotions, opinions, or intensity start influencing you more than your own inner voice. And walnut helps you when you feel manipulated or energetically hooked. It helps when someone's presence weakens your clarity, when you start doubting decisions that once felt solid, when you're easily swayed, pressured, or pulled back into old patterns. This remedy creates a kind of an energetic membrane around you, not a wall, but just a gentle but firm boundary that lets you hear yourself again. It keeps your field intact so that other people's needs, moods, or manipulation don't override your truth. And walnut is especially powerful in narcissistic or destabilizing dynamics because it protects the part of you that knows who you are. It strengthens the nerve that says, I don't have to follow you. I choose my own direction. Number 2, Centauri. Centauri is the remedy for self-loss in narcissistic dynamics. Centauri is the classic pattern that narcissists gravitate toward. The giver, the helper, the peacekeeper, the one who bends so the other never has to. And in narcissistic relationships, your natural kindness becomes a doorway for exploitation. You overgive, you overserve, you silence your own needs, you disappear a little more each time they take. And because you learned long ago that love comes from pleasing, you stay, even when it hurts. Santori exposes this ancient survival strategy and gently helps you step out of it. It restores the part of you that whispers, "My time is mine, my energy is precious, and I do not exist to be consumed." With Santori, you begin to feel the strength of choosing yourself without guilt, of saying no without trembling, of recognizing when someone is not asking but demanding. This remedy helps you reclaim all self-respect after years of shrinking for others, and it teaches you that service without reciprocity is not kindness, it is self-abandonment, and it brings you back to the truth. Your compassion is beautiful, but it was never meant to cost you yourself. Your kindness is a gift, not a currency. Pine, the remedy for guilt that isn't yours. Narcissistic dynamics train you to feel guilty. You start believing everything is your fault. Their moods, their reactions, their silence, their anger. You apologize without knowing why, and you carry blame that was never yours to hold. Pine breaks that spell. It helps you recognize where the guilt originated and why your body learned to take responsibility for other people's behavior. With Pine, the fog clears. You begin to feel the quiet truth underneath that you were not wrong. You were not too much. You were not the cause of their emotional storms. Pine restores your sense of innocence and worth. It untangles your identity from someone else's dysfunction, and it returns you to a place where you can say with steady clarity, "I am not responsible for your actions, and I don't have to carry this anymore." Pine doesn't just release guilt, it really truly reconnects you to the self that existed before you were taught to take blame for everything. Large, the remedy for self-doubt in the presence of power. Narcissistic dynamics erode confidence. Slowly, subtly, you begin to question yourself. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I misread everything, or maybe I'm not good enough, or smart enough, or capable enough. This is not an accident. It is the natural consequence of being around someone who elevates themselves by diminishing others. And Large helps you reclaim the self-belief that narcissistic dynamics quietly dismantle. It strengthens the inner voice that says, "I know what I know. My perspective matters. I am capable. I am competent. I am allowed to take up space." Large dissolves the fear of failure, the hesitation, the shrinking, and it helps you trust your abilities again and take action from a place of grounded confidence instead of fear or comparison. And with Large, you no longer second guess yourself in the presence of someone overpowering. You stand in your own worth without needing permission. Large reminds you, you are not less than. You never were. Alum, the remedy for overwhelm in impossible roles. Alum is for the moment when your strength becomes a burden. In narcissistic dynamics, you often become the one who holds everything together, the stable one, the responsible one, the container for someone else's chaos. You carry the emotional labor. You carry the decision-making, the repair work, the unspoken expectations that no one acknowledges, but everyone depends on. And at some point, even the strongest person collapses inside. Alum is for that collapse, not because you are weak, but because you have been carrying far more than any one heart should ever have to. It helps you when you feel overwhelmed by responsibility or pressure to fix everything, exhausted by being the strong one, afraid to admit that you can't do it all, depleted by a relationship where you give far more than you receive. And alum brings back perspective. It allows you to step out of the impossible role that narcissistic dynamics push you into. It reminds you, I am allowed to rest. I don't have to carry this. And being capable doesn't mean being used. With alum, your strength becomes healthy again, not overextended and not exploited, but grounded, human, and yours. It supports you in releasing responsibility that was never meant to be yours and reclaiming your right to say, enough. Willow, when resentment or injustice lives in the body. Narcissistic dynamics don't just drain you, they leave a residue. A heaviness, a quiet sense of injustice that sits in the chest like a stone. And Willow helps you when you feel wronged or betrayed and used, when you feel overlooked or burdened by a bitterness that you just don't want to carry anymore. And it doesn't force forgiveness. It doesn't ask you to move on. It simply softens the emotional contraction that forms when you've been hurt repeatedly or when someone has taken advantage of your kindness. Willow brings you back into your own power by releasing the emotional poison that comes from prolonged unfairness. And it shifts you from, why is this happening to me, to, I choose what happens next. It restores responsibility for your own energy without blaming yourself for the harm that was done. Forgiveness is not what you do for them, it is what you do for yourself. You have full permission to limit time, to take space, to create emotional or physical distance when needed, to protect your energy, to leave the dynamic entirely. No one knows what it costs you to stay in a relationship that activates old wounds, especially if you have a history of abuse or manipulation. You never have to justify protecting yourself. You never owe anyone access to you at the expense of your own well-being. And you never have to feel guilty for choosing peace. If you recognize yourself somewhere in this video, I want you to know this. Your nervous system isn't lying to you and your intuition isn't dramatic. Your body knows who is safe and who is not. And Bach Flower Remedies can help you clear the confusion, release the guilt, and return to your own truth so you can choose relationships that nourish you, not drain you. If you'd like my help with a personalized remedy plan for boundaries, recovery from narcissistic dynamics, or healing emotional patterns from the past, you can book a session with me or explore my course, Bloom into Balance. And everything you need is linked in the description. And if you're too kind and you're having trouble with that, check my next video here. I loved making this video. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.